Hormonal contraceptives affect when we do or don't bleed, so it makes sense that it would affect our Veset calculations. It's important to keep track of our onode. We need to know when to expect our period, when to abstain from relations, and when to do our Vesatot. It can be a little tricky to figure out. I'm here to walk you through how to calculate your Veset when using hormonal contraceptives. With progesterone-only birth control, like the mini pill, you follow the usual halachot for Veset calculations and ignore the hormones that you're taking. It may happen while you're on progesterone that you'll only be staining. That does not count toward any Veset calculation. Now let's discuss calculating your Vesatot when using combined hormonal contraceptives, such as the standard birth control pill, the vaginal ring, or patch. Combined hormonal contraceptives contain both estrogen and progesterone and do affect our cycles. For this video, we'll be discussing the halachic approach of Rabbi Kenneth Aumann, the halachic supervisor of our website. For other views, check out our informational pages on the website. When you're on these hormones, you have a halachic status similar to a pregnant woman, a mesuleket damim, a woman who is not expected to menstruate normally. Therefore, you do not keep the usual Veset days. What Veset days do you keep? When you start a new hormonal contraceptive, look at the package insert for information regarding the range of days when to expect your withdrawal bleed. That's the bleeding that occurs when you take the placebos or take a break from the hormones. The last day of that range and the last ona is your Veset day. For example, if you're taking birth control pills and it says in the insert that you can expect to bleed 2 to 4 days after your last active pill, then day 4, daytime ona, would be your Veset day. However, because it's hard to know how you will react to stopping the hormones the first time around, you should be careful starting already on day 2 and only have relations if you are confident there's no staining. One way to do this is to wipe externally with a tissue and hold off on relations if you find anything. This should not make you nida. You can learn more about that on our website. After your first cycle, you will base your Veset calculation on what happened the previous cycle. Make note of when you started bleeding after you stopped the hormones and use that as your basis. For example, if you're using birth control pills and you started bleeding 2 nights after your last active pill, then your ona will be 2 days later at night. You can also establish a Veset kavua this way. If for 3 consecutive cycles you started bleeding on the same specific ona, that would become your Veset kavua. For example, if you started bleeding 2 days after your last active pill 3 times in a row, you would establish a Veset kavua for that ona. If something changes, you follow the usual rules for Veset kavua. What if you extend your cycle and skip the placebos or the break? In that case, you would still only calculate your Veset from when you stop the hormones. That would be either when you take your last active pill or remove the patch or ring. What should you do when you stop using hormonal contraceptives? The first Veset will be as usual based on when you stop taking the hormones. For the next month, you would observe the Yom HaChodesh and the Ona Benonit. For the following cycle, you would add on the Yom HaFlaga. I hope this helps you understand how to calculate your Vesatot when using hormonal contraceptives. And of course, if you have any questions, we're here to help.